Hello there and welcome to Ringgit Sense Plus, the show where we talk about personal finance. Today marks the first day of Ramadan, and as you prepare to break fast this evening, we have this question for you. Have you got your finances in check? In the excitement of the fasting month and in preparing for Hari Raya, celebrations like these is usually the time of year where many of us tend to overspend. Well, on this episode, we have some tips on keeping your budget in check, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first up, what are the differences between Islamic financial planning as opposed to conventional financial planning? Well, for those of you who have always been wondering about this, we turn to one of the experts for answers on how Islamic financial planning can help in setting your financial life goals. We spoke to Rafiq Hidayat Mohd Ramli, who is both a certified financial planner and an Islamic financial planner. He explained to us that financial planning is a holistic way of looking at one's overall financial goals, like retirement, setting an education fund for your children, and also insurance protection.
So in creating the recommendations and the plans, the financial planners will review all aspects of a client's financial situation across a breadth of financial planning activities, including the interrelationships, to ensure that all the conflicting objectives are being taken care of. So that is what financial planning is all about.
An Islamic financial plan isn't very different from a conventional financial plan, but it adheres to Sharia principles. Rafiq gives us a few examples.
Instead of just, let's say, tax calculations, we'll include the zakat, because zakat is an obligation for Muslims who can afford to pay it. In addition to that, when we talk about investments, so it would be solely in Sharia compliant investments. We wouldn't, under Islamic financial planning, we wouldn't advise our clients to invest in conventional stocks or assets. In addition to that, instead of insurance, we will then use takaful as a mode for protection.
An Islamic financial plan will also look beyond their life goals, but preparing for the hereafter, as it also includes things like wakaf planning. Estate planning also follows faraid rules. So a will that is written for a Muslim is quite different from a non-Muslim. It also affects the money in your employee's provident fund or EPF account, even though you've named a benefactor such as your wife or children.
What we don't realize is that there is this fatwa that was issued by Majlis Fatwa Kebangsaan that says that any monies in KWSP, whoever that is the nominee, is actually only the authorized person, basically, or wasi, to hold it before the person can then distribute it according to faraid. So it actually, your EPF monies must be distributed according to faraid.
When it comes to fees charged by the financial planners, Rafiq says it's the same for both conventional and Islamic financial planning. However, when asked if it is true that Sharia-compliant financial services are more expensive compared to conventional products, he said yes. Here's an example. Let's put a conventional health insurance and takaful health protection side by side. Now, assuming that all costs are the same, such as management costs and types of protection covered, the takaful protection has an additional cost, which is the Sharia Advisory Panel. Its job is to ensure that all of its investments and services are Sharia compliant. Now, how big is the cost difference? According to Rafiq, for the same type of coverage, the difference is less than 10 ringgit a month. Also, Rafiq says there aren't many Sharia-compliant unit trust funds that invest globally as compared to conventional unit trust funds. A Sharia-compliant fund can't invest in tobacco, alcohol, finance which charges interest, and gambling which historically has higher returns. Malaysian fund managers wanting to invest in, say, the US or in Asia has less to pick from that meets their criteria as compared to conventional funds. This results in Sharia-compliant funds returning lower returns than conventional unit trust funds. Rafiq says 70% of his clients are Muslims who use Islamic financial planning, and they can accept the lower returns as their religious obligations are more important.
It's more holistic because it's not only now when we are on the earth, it's also planning for when you pass away. So it's more holistic and it really takes into account the concept of Sharia principle, and we would then advise clients how they can achieve their financial goals based on the Sharia principle and also on the concept of al-falah, which is the concept of success for here and in the hereafter.
In financial planning, there's a saying, failing to plan is planning to fail. So make sure you start planning your finances today, no matter how old you are. The younger, the better. Well, hopefully that story has helped to clear up some questions you may have about Islamic financial planning. Did we miss anything? As always, do connect with us on Facebook as we love to hear your feedback. Now, coming up after the break, we speak to our partners from RinggitPlus about keeping your spending in check during Ramadan and towards the Raya celebrations. Stay tuned.
Dalam RM20 lah, kadang-kadang RM25. Macam tu lah, depend lah. Kadang-kadang tu kalau akak beli ayam tu seekor, lebih lah sikit daripada RM20 tu. Macam tu lah, akak beli kuih, akak beli asam pedas keladi. Macam tu lah.
Belanja tu lebih kurang dalam RM15 ke RM20.
Kalau pergi pasar Ramadan mesti lebih RM50. Sebab satu kuih tu, makanan tu RM5, RM7, RM7. Tak ada bawah RM3 dah. Jadi bila beli lauk pun yang dah seketul tu, ayam tu, ikan tu belah RM1 kalau ikan bakar kan. Kalau ayam seketul pun RM7.
Selalu sekali pergi tu mesti bawa RM50. Sebab memandangkan barang semua dah mahal kan. Jadi kalau bawa RM20 rasa tak ada apa-apa rasanya. Semua lauk ikan-ikan tu mahal. Tapi memang sedap lah yang mahal tu kan. Memang fresh.
Puasa mungkin kurang sikit. Sebab apa? Pergi masjid. Makan kat masjid lah.
Perbezaan tu adalah beza sikit. Ada mahal sikit lah pasal Ramadan tu. Harga memang mahal sikit lah.
Saya kadang boleh jadi juga memang lebih sebelum ni. Saya kira balik kos dia macam lebih. Sebab apa kadang tu kita makan ada pembaziran, berlaku pembaziran terlebih. Kadang-kadang kita tak perasan ambil benda tu banyak-banyak untuk maghrib, untuk buka je sebenarnya. Tahu-tahu makanan ada lebih.
Beza sikit lah. Sebab apa, kadang-kadang anak dia nak makan pilihan lain. Dia nak murtabak. Yang macam suami saya nak roti john. Akak punya selera macam asam pedas keladi lah. Macam tu lah.
Masak lebih jimat. Boleh makan sekali dengan sahur. Kan?
Now, as promised, in this part of the show, we turn to our partners from RinggitPlus to talk to us about budgeting for the fasting month. And joining us in the studio, we have Zuhaili Izzuddin, Ad Operations Manager from RinggitPlus. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for enlightening us on the show. Today, we're talking about the fasting month and want to know about how we cannot overspend, because typically this is the time where people tend to spend a lot, not just the Bazaar Ramadans, but they're also planning for Hari Raya, looking for their Raya clothes and whatnot. So what would be your number one tip for people to not go there, not overspend during this month?
Start early and plan ahead of your expenses. So one way to do is you plan out what exactly you need to spend instead of what you want. So if we plan ahead and know exactly what we need, it can help us identify where we can save money. One method that we can use for managing our expenses for Ramadan and also Hari Raya is by using a credit card. So not just using a credit card, but the correct credit card. For example, there is credit cards that gives out offers and rewards, and also cashback for the specific expenses, such as online shopping, promo and deals, groceries, cashback, and also petrol vouchers.
Okay, so you would advise using a credit card for some people if they know how to manage it?
Yes, for sure. And if you don't have a credit card yet, I would advise to apply for a credit card. One thing that you can do is go on to RinggitPlus and compare what is the most suitable credit cards for you based on your expenses. And at the same time, you can receive some gifts upon approval of the credit card. And that can also help you save money. One way of doing it is we currently have our RinggitPlus Idul Fitri campaigns where you can get household items as a gift when your credit card is approved. So in that way, you can also save money in household items because we are giving out rice cooker and also stand a chance to win Apple iWatch.
I see. Okay. Now, speaking of credit cards, we also have a question from one of our viewers who sent in their questions through our Facebook page. Thank you for that. Now, one of our viewers, Rusli, has sent in this question. He and his wife are both 29 and they have a joint income of 7,500 ringgit. So they have 2 children, aged 5 and 8. And since it's the fasting month, they want to know how they cannot overspend when it comes for Hari Raya. Since last year, Rusli spent 3,000 ringgit on his credit card just to celebrate Hari Raya, and until now he's still trying to pay off the amount. So once again it's time for him to spend for his family, and he's still paying off last year's debts. So what do you have to say to them?
So they have a credit card, which is great, and now is how we can advise them on how to pay off their credit card at the end of the month instead of 1 year later still paying off. They should be aware that the interest rate on credit cards are much higher. So it's best to opt for a personal financing instead. For example, personal financing is at 6%. Instead of credit card, it can go up to 18%. Then with that, you can actually get the cash flow that you're getting from the personal financing to pay off your credit card at the end of the month.
Okay, I see. Now, they also have another question. Rusli says his wife's company has offered the staff 1 month salary advance for Hari Raya where they can deduct their monthly salary. So a lot of companies are doing this, as I know. So do you think this is a good option for employers to take a salary advance, or would it be better for them to have a credit card and just try to manage that?
So in this case, they should understand that, okay, for Raya, they are getting... we assume that they are getting 3,000 ringgit and they will get 6,000 ringgit for Raya. But the next 3 months, they will have to manage cash flow of 2,000 instead of the usual 3,000. If they can do that, they can manage the cash flow, 2,000 ringgit, then yes, that they should opt for it. However, if they find that for the next 3 months, it's very difficult to manage their expenses, manage the cash flow with 2,000 ringgit, then they should opt for personal financing, where it can help them, where it's a longer repayment period, and also they can manage with the lower interest rate instead of using a credit card. So, however, you still need to spend money on Ramadan and Hari Raya. Best to use a credit card to manage the expenses. Then using the cash flow that you're getting either from the cash advance or the personal financing, and you can pay off the credit card expenses at the end of the month. In that way, then you don't have to pay for the higher interest rate on the credit card.
I see. Okay, good advice then. I guess for Rusli and Wana, it's best for them to spend within their means so that they don't have that amount of debt next year again, I guess.
Yes, hopefully.
Okay, hopefully. Now, we'll be taking a break right now, but when we come back, we'll be speaking again to our friends from RinggitPlus, continuing our discussion about how you can actually budget for Ramadan and also the Hari Raya celebrations. Back with us on RinggitPlus after this, so don't go anywhere.
puasa dia lebih juga, tapi kadang-kadang kalau nak berjimat kan takut membazir, dia ada beli sikit lah.
Kak, untung tak untung tengok keadaan Kak, sebab kalau kadang-kadang hujan kan, so kena tengok keadaan. Modal pun tak berapa besar, dengan tolak macam tu Kak.
Keadaan kalau tak hujan okey, dalam 200-300 boleh lah.
Kalau bulan puasa ni kata dia punya rezeki lebih sikit pada yang biasa. Pada bazar, untuk bulan puasa kita panggil bazar kan. Bazar tu keseluruhan penghuni kawasan tu dari sini Pemaisuri ke arah bazar tu. Kalau macam bulan biasa Pasar Malam atau Pasar Tani hanya orang di kawasan terdekat saja yang datang. Jadi memang beza lah, memang pembelian tu memang lebih banyak lah pada bulan puasa.
Biasa beli lebih lah dalam 2-3 gitu, macam sebab berkeluarga kan, makan ramai-ramai. Macam tu lah rasanya. Standard macam tu.
Orang beratur lah. Orang beratur memang tak ada stok lah. Daripada buka dalam pukul 4.30 tu sampai ke 6.30, 6.45 habis balik lah.
Retail tu dalam 1,000 lebih 2,000 macam tu lah. Lebih kurang macam tu lah.
Kalau macam bulan puasa biasa ke 800 ke 1,000 macam tu lah. Itu antara dua perniagaan lah. Kalau macam nasi ayam dengan air kita orang campurkan lah. Macam tu lah. Pendapatan bila bulan puasa dia bergantung pada rezeki lah. Sebenarnya tak tentu. Ada melebihi 10,000 pun ada, melebihi 15,000 pun ada. Jadi kita nak katakan yang fix tak ada. Tapi itulah jumlah-jumlah antara jumlah yang biasa kita dapat lah.
Rasa lebih kurang ada 500 lah sehari.
Well, guys, welcome back to Ringgit Sense Plus. You're still with me, Azara Tagaya, and we are still talking about saving and not overspending for the month of Ramadan. And we're still with our guest in the studio, Zuhaili Izzuddin, Ad Operations Manager from RinggitPlus. Thank you for staying with us.
Hi.
Okay, so before the break, we talked about trying to not overspend, trying to spend within your means, trying to really look at your expenses and keep them in check. So now we want to talk a little bit about zakat as well, because Ramadan is not just the month of receiving, it's also the month of giving. So zakat is a very big part of that. So can you explain to us the basics of what zakat is, what the purpose is, where it goes to, and how is it basically collected?
Zakat is a payment that's fulfilled by Muslims if they meet the requirements. The purpose is to help the less fortunate. So, for example, the poor and the needy are eligible to receive the zakat. So, for those who are giving out zakat, they can actually make the payment at a registered zakat institution. And they will distribute it to the less fortunate people.
Okay. Are there different types of zakat?
Yes. So there are two types of zakat, which is zakat fitrah and zakat pendapatan.
Okay.
So zakat fitrah is done during the month of Ramadan, and it's equivalent to a pack of rice grains. So this year, I think it's about RM7 that you can go on and make the payment at the registered places. So zakat fitrah is mandatory to all that is able to give out. Then the next type is the zakat pendapatan. Is the payment that is made upon your earnings and savings. Unlike the zakat fitrah, zakat pendapatan is not mandatory. Just like your income tax, a certain person needs to reach a level of income, earnings and savings to be eligible for income tax. So it's the same rule that apply on zakat pendapatan. So the rate that goes for zakat pendapatan is 2.5% of your income.
Okay, so how exactly, what does zakat contribute to, and how can people actually claim for tax rebates?
Yes, so the good thing is now it's income tax season. I think we have about 2 more weeks onto the e-filing deadline.
Yeah.
So for example, zakat pendapatan is actually tax rebate. If you see the form, then there is a column for zakat rebate. For example, if you are your annual income tax for 2018 is RM650 and you have paid zakat 350, So you are eligible to get the return of 300 ringgit because zakat is a tax rebate.
I see.
So in this way, that zakat can actually help you manage your personal financing. In a way, it's not a burden. It's the way to help with your personal financing. Yeah. So one tip is save the receipts and make sure that you make the payment at a registered institution. For example, Pusat Pungutan Zakat. Save the receipt, and you can still file for the 2018 tax rebate.
Okay, good advice then. Well, thank you so much, Zuhaili, for sharing with us on Ringgit Cents Plus today. Your tips have been very useful, and hopefully our viewers have learned a thing or two as well.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, guys, that's the end of today's show. And as always, go to our Facebook page and you can connect with us there. And that's also where you can watch all the segments from today's show, as we will be posting them online as well later on. I'm Azara Tagaya signing off. We'll see you again next time. And remember to invest and save wisely.